parks and stuff, and then more office.
Doesn't even make sense though.
Do you want to put some residential right here?
That's not what it is.
That's fun.
Yeah, I think that probably needs to be more.
It does make volunteering easy, so you get the land with just
Why don't we just, can we demo that now? Yeah, I agree with you. This should be more like office. Lighter use.
bar.
And, hey, also, I've got extras of these maps, so feel welcome to write on them.
Residential is yellow.
Residential.
And then
That's like residential parking. First floor parking.
Unless you left them on the right window.
We can take this off and put it on the smaller.
Red?
Yeah, retail red.
Parks is green.
Parking.
Parks is green. Parking is black.
This black?
Yeah, parking is black. Let's just focus on residential and office. Office is purple. And yellow is residential. Retail is red. So what is retail?
And these generally are, just so you guys know, these generally are the actual color coordinates of the legends and maps of the actual uses. So blue is existing. Is it? It is, yeah. I learned that on that last class.
What's red?
Residential, parking. This is parking. What are we gonna put? I think it makes most sense right next to the church.
You know what? I would put a retail, maybe.
Next to the church, like all here. Maybe like a cafe, coffee shop, retail block with residential on it.
Yes.
Maybe not too high.
Maybe like a big 5.
Yeah, 5 stories. Parking
Parking on the garage. I mean on the top. And then underneath retail.
Yeah, so YMCA is residential, then where should we make like the main street club? Yeah, that would make sense. Main street club sort of. In this area, this is the park.
So each block is considered 5, right?
They said that each block has 2 floors. Each block is 2 stories.
So that's 4.
That's 5 for parking.
So that's 5. Okay. And then what is this?
This would be a retail and residential neighborhood
Exactly.
feel.
So one red and one yellow.
So you can't build the store. You can't do ground. You can't build the store. You can't do what? You can't build the store.
The church. So we're going to renovate the store, right? Rehab.
Well, I don't think you put any colors. I just don't use brown.
Green, how about green?
Maybe that's the orange.
Green is the park. Yeah, I think it's orange. It's orange. Orange is brown.
Well, do we put the park near the church, or like a park square? Right underneath. How do you do park underneath? Oh, parking. I'm talking about the green space park. Yeah. That's interesting.
No, for a park, you
Yeah.
can do it here.
Like half and half.
All retail and home park.
And then I can put the park here next to the church.
There it is. There it is, right there.
That over. So you have to put the park in the middle, which brings the 2 communities together. And then the green.
Put an office park.
She got her hands full. She's
I'm
after
interested,
me.
yeah, I'm really interested, no, I'm interested, so you have your, office building, you have a park, and then what's on here?
I was gonna do like maybe a little bit of retail. This is the central business. Here's a transit stop, so it's always good to have. Maybe your office more over here. But I figured this could be like a little bit higher density.
You can go that way.
Yeah.
Always office. With parks.
Well, there's some retail.
Yeah, this is the transit. I don't know if that's like Subway or
Bus stop.
Subway.
Gas station. Gas station.
I don't see why you can't do a little bit of retail.
Yeah.
I mean, not retail, but residential. Maybe something else here.
Yeah. Residential. That makes sense. So you have the office, you have good places to eat.
Yeah.
Lord. See, I mean, I don't know if you want this, but you know, it's a little intimidating having too much at street level. So you kind of want to like step it up to the middle. But I don't know if that counts. This right here looks like 3 or 4 stories. So this would be 2 blocks. So this is kind of like, you know, kind of like step up a little bit to get one of these off. We need like more tires and stuff in the back here.
Yeah, you want them to be
Step it up in this.
So why don't make this green place here parking instead, and then just put a little park right here?
I don't know, I was just thinking like, you know, you have an office and it would be like a central corridor.
What do you think about this idea with the retail section? Since there's retail down here, I like that you put some here. Maybe you make this sort of Main Street. You know, retail, some housing behind it.
This is how it is in Spain, like by what's on the bay, and you back to the water. That's how this is. I'm trying to compare what I've seen to.
I mean, this could be like an office. I mean, I don't think we're making a central business district because it says here, 2 central businesses.
Yeah.
So this maybe supposed to be more
More on the neighborhood side.
maybe more on the neighborhood side. We got multifamily, some light office use here. So you can like kind of phase this in and maybe just block more residential.
That sounds good.
Or like maybe a
Yes.
A ball. I'm going to get
Oh, shopping plaza.
you did like a square, town square. Retail, residential.
maybe what you can do, maybe move it over here, and you can have, like one of the things when we did that Seattle project, is the city wanted to be able to look down any one of the streets and see the water.
Yep.
And maybe what we do here is you look down the street and you see a linear park.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
At least like, so from the eye outside, you got this nice long park.
Right.
So you could make it bigger.
My question is, when you put these here, is this considered renting and putting those lakes and stuff?
No, this is just grass.
It's just
Park.
grass.
Using
Park.
existing, maybe.
This isn't parking, it's park.
I know park, but I'm saying, can you do dredging to make that a lake? You know, like how you use a park.
Yeah, we don't have that color
We'll
block.
put a retail here.
Yeah, so I was thinking, put some
Near the park.
In that sense, we can kind of say, hey, there's going to be enough retail here to have like, you know, a local market, some restaurants, then more residential, more retail.
On that side.
Yeah.
You need, yeah.
The parking.
You know, parking there underneath there.
You could put it, well, you don't want parking
Oh,
on
yeah, right.
By the car,
So maybe parking underneath this,
You could build a parking deck.
by the top.
The top.
Or in the middle.
Put it in the middle, but if you want to keep this linear park,
Do it
you
there.
have to continue to park over here.
hotel.
So if you want to make this more like a residential scope,
So do you feel like this is money with all the space in the car? A lot of space.
right now if we're doing this like financial wise, we're trying to do like urban planning.
Here we can do more parking.
So I was thinking, retail, right? Parking garage, have retail area, parking, right, stacking the parking bags, and then have your
Parking in the ground floor.
maybe stair step it back a little, you know?
Parking in the ground floor.
No, it's too much parking.
No, that's a little more retail.
And here residential.
Yeah, you can just, it's all, you know, again, with
With the parking underneath
yeah,
here.
there get some bigger blocks.
What, black?
Bigger ones. Yeah, they good. You get a little retail component over here.
Here in storage?
Yeah.
Another parking.
No, but here, parks. And then storage side.
Right into the historical.
Yeah, like
All
around
of this corner here.
all the corner parks on the storage building. And then we could do also until like 3 years ago.
This is exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
What retail specifically would this be? No, this is a coffee over here. This should be like food store maybe?
Food store, yeah.
Like market,
Grocery market. Outdoor market.
green market.
Grain market.
do we have the half black? Oh, wait, is it? In the park in there? I think it's somewhere.
Landscaping. All this. City park. Ale. Go red on top of it.
So we did not utilize. Orange here. Start building or no?
You can't build them, start building.
I mean, I know it's built already, but we have to indicate that on the map or?
That we're not tearing it down.
Is there any like single yellow blocks in there? Yeah. No, like the half ones.
Do we have to pick the orange here to indicate that it's start building or?
That would probably be a good.
Yeah, okay, so you put this here to show that it's start building. Orange.
Oh, we're supposed to build on.
Orange. How high is the orange start building?
It's going up this way.
One block up there.
That's just section 3. It's 3 stories.
But each block is 2 stories. Right?
It's like a plan of landscaping on top of the roof, so we're above it looking down.
Give me an example of which building.
The new Twinkle City Center. There's a kind of a about that.
So I know where the
The top 10 just across the building where like recreational.
Okay, so this, okay.
They wouldn't have a pool and office.
The other
Two
building.
more here.
I was just thinking here because just the view, right?
Yeah, when you're looking down, it will all blend in.
This is gonna be the nicest.
We need one
We are
more
building this
green.
whole residential complex right into the homeless shelter.
Well, it's separated by.
What else could it
This
be?
whole thing down.
What else could it be
Line up.
separated by?
There, problem solved. But
What else could it be separated by here? You said we can.
This is actually like a really nice neighborhood now, but then we have the homeless shelter.
My idea was when I say green, it could be a lake as well.
Yeah.
So it could be a lake.
Yep.
Okay. But it's gonna be a lake. Sure.
I have the old part.
This is just green here.
And that's exactly where they're gonna come in from.
Maybe a retail thing.
See, I mean, like even here, I mean, I don't know what it's real map right now, but you know, they have a park. And they have the buildings kind of surrounding the park with like a pass-through corridor.
More green?
Yeah, there needs to be more balance. I said there needs to be more balance. There's one, there's 2 floors, retail?
You can't have five.
No, each is.
Yeah, but we don't have single red bottom.
Out.
What's the space over here?
I wish I had a single yellow. I'd like to put a little tower
I
here.
think
Great.
I know.
here we can do more green. I mean, around the historic building.
There should be a little office over there. Use all blue. No?
One part in here.
That's some ground floor office.
This looks so spacious. It has to be spacious because this is the most prominent thing here in this section.
One more green there.
All green here,
Yeah,
here,
all
take it apart here.
I think we can put them together.
Oh,
We don't have to develop everything. You know, we can.
that's basically
No,
what you're
every
looking
inch.
for.
There has
So
to
we
be
need to
some.
put the stuff on
There
the
has to be
snow,
some
right?
development opportunity this time.
Our city created.
We put like little for sale signs over here. Yeah. These are parcels. They're available.
And take a picture to it so we got it for a record.
Wait, are we done? Or like
Well, we get a couple of angles and if it's all visible.
Designated photographer.
Actually, can you pull this?
She's a beaut, Clark. Yeah, no gaps.
You just want to take a
Go to
picture?
the Nova website, see what they do.
Yeah. Can't be as good as this.
Where do you want to live?
That's too crowded for me. Too much.
You want to live next to the church?
What church is you? Mormon?
It depends on what kind.
I probably come up with the YMCA here. Maybe I'll come to this.
Right.
I don't know.
And
Looks
once
like
your
we got a lot
area
of-
built out, take
We look like we've got-
photographs of all your angles.
Like if it was just this city alone, like this whole self-sustaining city, there's definitely not enough places. For
Yeah,
people to work.
I'm second guessing our amount of
We need
them.
all these, we need,
It's not a good mix. And the parking's pretty weak too.
What?
The parking's pretty weak.
this size of a building?
Like
No.
there's no parking for that residence over there.
They're super expensive.
City condo.
You can still play around with this, right? Yeah, so let's have a little more parking and reduce it.
That's the parking.
Plenty of park.
We just build like. Yeah.
And the residential.
Killing green. Go for the green, right?
People have park somewhere.
Maybe just some surface parking over there by the.
Minutes.
Why don't you do some surface parking over there by the church? Yeah. There you go.
Maybe this will be like the church courtyard and the surface parking over here.
Yeah. Like that. Parking on that block. That whole lot.
Except for
Underneath
yeah,
there.
right there.
Maybe you can put some underneath.
stack it. I want you to put it in the middle. Last not parking.
Put in the middle?
Stop parking.
Yeah, that's enough. That's no balance.
Park on top of that. Park on top of the office. No. Right?
So that's revised. It's still.
Get some good parking here.
Yeah.
I like the wall for people.
Got a little more office here. It looks like I overparked it.
Whole day. 2 spots for every office.
Some more, get some simple blocks up.
Okay, 5 more minutes.
So we said this is a food store, like a drug food store, right? And then we said this was a residential with office and everything.
I just think there's so much parking there. There you go. Cantilever.
What's that, Franklin, right?
Cantilever. A little parking there.
Once
Green.
your team is done, go ahead and pull up the spreadsheet for the urban plan.
Take it off first and then
Do a single green. It's too much green.
These don't really get it.
okay, you're taking
Bought my
pictures.
son at Brasco, the regular practice.
Oh yeah.
The metal ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The ones that like
Like
bust up and you
super,
cut
yeah.
yourself and get
Yeah.
tetanus. Yeah. Those are the best.
I've had it for a year now. I'm like, keep waiting till you go. Like,
Ready?
6. I think he's almost ready. This is 9.
But that's fine.
The rubber band and dry rotted, so I'm not doing
This sounds like a thing.
He's more excited about it than. Let me take another picture of it.
Yeah, now that we've
Yeah, this is good. You got some good design.
yeah,
This
this
one.
is
Oh, yeah. You gotta get the angle so you can get the sunlight going through the side of the building.
Oh yeah.
Okay, about a minute.
Hold on, let me the flashlight.
Oh, yeah. You gonna hold it up there?
Yeah, it's in my phone.
This area is really congested. Like, there's gonna be no shade on the park. The buildings are gonna be walking in the sun.
What time of the day? What time of the day? In the morning? Good. Good. Some shadows.
Those are good. Yeah. How come your sun rises in the south and sets in the north? Oh, your sun's
Get the shadows.
No. I thought
You
the.
got 2 suns. You go that way. Look north.
So it gets
Isn't the sun
sun.
coming
It
this
gets
way
sun.
and going around this way?
This is great. It's park. You get sun the
Yeah.
whole time.
So you take a picture at noon. 12 o'clock.
High noon.
Maybe watch this a
You
long
got some shadow. You got some shadow in there.
Okay, has everybody got theirs done? All right, here's the plan. All right.
Now we're gonna try to make
Long.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. Everybody back there, come up here. Stand up, come up here.
This one is.
What? Well, you can take a picture in a minute.
picture is better.
Okay, you guys all get over there on that side. We're gonna stand up here.
all day.
Okay. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. All right, So what I want everybody to do is we're going to start with this group, and I want to have this group talk a little bit about why they did what they did, okay? And then we're going to go to the second group and then the third group. Now, as I said, this portion of the exercise is all about no constraints, okay? It's just put it where you want it, you know, with your own sort of ideas and envisionment with just, you know, what little information you have been given, okay? And so the idea is just to sort of see what you come up with under that model, okay? So with that, who in your group wants to sort of start off and just talk a little bit about what you did and why you did it?
All right, so we started with the general concept, noticing that there's you know, church, multifamily on this side, central business district down here, some commercial on that side. We wanted to centralize, you know, residential and retail over here, and then heading towards office, getting close to that direction. The existing homeless shelter was one of our reasons for wanting to keep residential, you know, a little bit further away. We definitely wanted to have a nice sun-soaked green avenue that you can look down and see. We incorporated some green roofs as well. Over here is sort of our neighborhood cafe, bistro, a little bit of you know, boutique retail, perhaps a market, grocery store, and then seeing existing retail and the transit stop here. It's perfect for a business district, which has the, you know, the lunch cafes and some retail underneath it, plenty of parking, and then some retail around the park with residential on top of it. This being kind of the Main Street retail center. Did I miss anything? Oh, Frank Lloyd Wright designed this office building. It's got the covered.
The Venezuelan touch.
Okay. All right, so any questions from anybody about anything they did relative to your own?
You mentioned you guys had plenty of parking for the office. All underneath the green roof.
Ah, it's hidden.
It's hidden. Good job.
That's
So
right.
down here.
Like that.
Eyesore. Yeah. That's right. Gotta cover it up.
And we try to keep the theme, like one thing that when we did that Seattle project, that they wanted to look down all the streets and see the water. So we thought, wouldn't that be nice to look down and see like one linear? No, just with the park. There's like one linear
There
park.
will be
It
some
could
water
be like
features.
Yeah,
chilling right
in
here.
the park.
Fountain.
Water fountain.
Yep. Yeah. Nice spot to just curl up and read a book if you want.
So any particular, I mean, obviously we didn't give you any constraints, but any constraints that you felt were there,
The homeless shelter.
okay?
And we wanted to make sure the stand out alone by itself with the same historic building.
Okay.
We also said the church is very important.
Two had residential, some park and the parking.
This is the guy that
We
came
tried-
around
we tried to-
stealing ideas.
We try to kind of like taper the buildings, you know, taper the buildings kind of up towards the central business district. So the density wasn't, you know, the church is very
Yeah,
low.
like everything's going down, flow to the downtown area.
So it didn't look like any of the groups got way out of control with height. At least not that I can see. I mean, you guys are probably the highest over there, yeah. Okay.
I don't know if this the drawings to scale, but we identified about 3 stories
Right.
high is about the highest.
Are you redeveloping that, or what are you doing with this?
No, that's just whatever's there.
Rehabbing or leaving it
Into
alone.
what?
Well, whatever's there now, we're not sure what that
No,
is.
you have to either redevelop or.
Existing
No, we just had to look up the empty
Rehab
spaces.
or demo.
I thought that was a.
Yeah, right now,
I guess
you know, once again, you can interpret it however you want to for the moment.
I think we're gonna rehab it. It's in the historic section of the town.
Yeah,
Decided yet.
Okay,
Might
good.
come down.
I mean, well,
Who knows? Yeah, it might come down.
the key here, and obviously, you guys put some thought into it, you know, and you're thinking about, you know, the adjoining uses, you're thinking about the impact of the homeless shelter on potentially surrounding residential. You definitely consider the parking issues, so, and plenty of open space, so yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that you did, I think, a great job. I mean, any other questions, thoughts, or observations?
This park is going to be a major hangout for homeless people, though.
There you go.
That's why I didn't want park
Right.
there.
You know, they're going to be bathing in the fountain.
Yeah, we didn't want them park.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Whichever group wants to go next, go for it. from here.
You go.
Welcome this community.
Okay, this is downtown. We went high.
This is high density.
Yeah. We decided to take like a park here because we have residents next to the church. We can make a lot of sense. So, okay, green area. And then we kept the museum or whatever. And we added a park, and some retail for the whatever it was, the museum for the office. We turned down the shelter from the homeless shelter. And we created a civic center.
Nice.
So
It looks part of the story.
right?
It's gonna be
We have
fun.
a mix of everything there, you know, venue place, and something that in the city, and and parking, and we integrated everything with the offices. We kind of kept part of the residential, existing residential around it. So we kept like the busy stuff inside here. We put a residential here because of the access to the students and teachers or whatever, and offices, and integrate also some retail to make this lot complete mixed use with that integrated thing. That's
We really wanted to take advantage of transit stops, so we wanted to make sure office and residential, were near transit stops.
oh, we kept this YMCA and do some retail here, like jump and juice or GMC or something, and some parking. And we have kept the height because usually this YMCA are much better. I'm not far along.
So any thoughts or comments from the other people?
Is there parking with the?
Yes, hidden.
Okay, right.
Do you have any grocery stores?
Yeah, here in the next to the residential.
So did you guys tear down that building that we didn't do anything
Yeah.
with, or did you just rehab it for repurpose for?
Oh, no, we tore it
So
down.
that we
Yeah, that is it. We made apartments and retail.
I'm assuming these are all LEED certified.
Yeah, the rest of them will.
So any other questions, thoughts?
Yeah, I would like to know what's the purpose of this particular parking. Yeah, why did you tear down the single family house?
No, I like the green roof idea. I think that's an interesting idea, and point out that idea with a high density. It's obviously not cheap, but it's a good idea. We do have a lot of parking. We kind of did the same thing they did. We probably a lot of office were adjacent to the existing offices, so that's probably good.
This depends on zoning, see how high you can go.
Oh, absolutely. That's a constraint.
This is the downtown area, now you have to see the buildings where we're heading.
Okay, that's good. Very simple. Okay, all right, let's move forward on to this one.
Okay,
Welcome to Elmwood Development District.
so I think without knowing a lot about the area, we used, a few of the key factors, the CBDs that way, the universities over here, there's a lot of multifamily over here, and then obviously the transit stop. There was already existing retail, so we thought parallel retail would work well, and the office buildings as well. With it closest to the CBD, we put the highest density office over there. And with the university, we decided to put the residential here with mixed use because that's where the mixed use would make the most sense. We considered putting it over here, but we didn't think it worked as well. We added some more office over here, but it was a little less density, just based off being further away from the CBD. And we wanted to keep the existing historic building over here that had to be rehabbed and actually turn it into a hotel because there isn't, any of that over there. It's similar to Gainesville, actually. There's like a historic hotel. Okay, it's taller now.
That's good, it doesn't say that.
Last minute, that's it. And there's obviously parking under most of the buildings in this area. And then for the single family homes and mixed use over here, we put, you know, additional retail, which would be more of your Publix, Anchor, Walmart, things like this, whereas over here you're more restaurants, boutique little stores and things, you know, along that line.
The only other thing, we did decide to take an initiative to create a decent amount of green space, just especially because we have the YMCA here, so we figured a park to kind of correlate with that community center type vibe. That's why we threw that there, because we have that student housing. That's why we decided to create some green space for that as well. So that was really one of the big initiatives we took.
In the church, where you put a commercial with a lot of parking.
The parking's actually flat, but we didn't have the correct Legos to show that. But the retail, I mean,
So retail is actually facing whatever had on the street.
yeah, the retail, it gives like a divider between the two, because oftentimes after people go to church, they go out for breakfast, they have to go shopping, run their errands, things like that. It's not going to be massive retail. It's going to be a Publix and Walgreens and neighborhood shopping.
Yeah, we thought that was the best use of that particular area, because you kind of draw from all of this housing that you have there.
And you don't know, like, for example, how tall well, it's all of this. I mean, it wasn't in the church, it's like a 2-3 story structure, but you know, this is like a 1-story retail, and the whole is not going to like block the light coming into the church and things like that. But you know, those are other, you know, other issues that we don't know.
We were considering some sort of like single family homes, or, you know, it would definitely be high end if that was the case, like a gated, nice community that's close to the CBD and close to the church and close to parking. But that's going to be some sort of residential use.
To be prepared for the future, we did get zone apartment units where we can put in,
Okay. All right. Good. Questions, thoughts from anybody else?
We also added a parking structure to build from the office to, just in case there's a conflict of interest there with parking.
It also divides the homeless shelter and gives them a place to park without being overrun by anything else.
As I said, make sure that you got pictures of each of your sites. You're probably going to do a little bit of backtracking. Here's what we're going to do. All right. Come up here toward the screen.
He wants to buy
We
it.
have
Do
them
we have
platted as
pictures of
well.
ours, or should I
We have
take
them
one?
platted just in case. I didn't take any.
Okay.
Okay, come up here close to the screen so you can sort of see it. Come up here,
What's that?
up to the front. Everybody, come on up. We get the pictures in a few seconds. Okay, so what is included on Dropbox is a very detailed set of spreadsheets included with Urban Plan that literally allow you to input every detail of what you're placing on each of the blocks. If you look at the map, block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4, block 5, and block 6, okay, which match up to what obviously you can place there. All right, now what you're able to do, it does Chris the calculations for you, but if you sort of go in and you say, okay, we're going to build, let's say 200 of the podium apartments, 500, 100, well, look down here at the bottom. Already it's telling you you've overbuilt, okay? So it has a handful of nice little sort of catches in there to kind of keep you from doing anything that you shouldn't do, for the most part. But what I would like for you to do as part of your assignment is to take the existing, what you have done now, without any of the constraints, just based upon your vision, and backtrack and put in what effectively is there. Does that make sense? Now, just to sort of see what you end up with as a result of that. Now, the spreadsheet, as you can see, has multiple tabs down here in terms of the use allocation, the cost, how many jobs are created, overall market, valuation, the city revenue, and then overall summary. Okay, so it does all the calculations. So the finance person has an easy job. all they really have to do in this is pretty much just plug in what is there, okay? And then see to what extent that, you know, what the impact is. Everybody kind of understand? Okay, so once again, you can look at the title of the spreadsheet on your Dropbox, up, final. Now, make sure, listen to me very carefully. The files on Dropbox, please do not modify them on Dropbox. In other words, we don't want your spreadsheet basically copying on top of the one that's there. So make sure that you save it first to your local computer on the desktop or on a jump drive or whatever, and then start to be able to put your inputs in and play around with it. Make sense? Okay, now, the next thing you should be doing is the following. You go into Dropbox, specifically right here, the UP Student Handbook, okay? There is a 83-page handbook, okay, of everything you need to know about what you're doing. This is a pretty involved, obviously, assignment. We're going to be doing this the whole semester, okay? We're just getting started today, just kind of what your appetite and give you an idea of what it entails. But ultimately, you know, what you're gonna have all sorts of constraints and issues that you're going to be facing with this. Just to kind of give you some ideas, we sort of flow through this. It actually has a request for proposal from the local government as to what they want to see with regard to the redevelopment, okay, what their objectives are, what they're trying to accomplish, okay. Then you sort of go forward from that to details about the overall area, kind of some historic issues. Then you start to get letters from different groups, specifically the Neighborhood Alliance, kind of what their issues are in terms of affordable housing issues or the homeless shelter or whatever, and what their perspective is, and you have to take that into consideration. Does that make sense? Okay. Then you've got a letter from Jobs and Justice. Okay. So once again, focused on basically providing jobs for the community and what their issues and sort of constraints are. Then we've got one from the church. Okay, what their concerns are. And probably, my suspicion is, what is embedded in there are issues about what may be adjacent to the church, but also other issues of what they're trying to achieve. Then the arts district folks, skate on, skateboarders. And then you get into the development standards and design guidelines as to what is required in terms of the amount of parking and so forth. Okay, then we get into the buildings, okay? And so what they do here is they give you an entire page on each building, kind of its history, the size of the building, number of stories, what you can do with it, whether you are allowed to tear it down. So in this case, may not be demolished, okay? So that's obviously a constraint, and then you've got to live within that. What do you repurpose it for, okay? And then it gives you some guidelines down here at the bottom as to different uses and specifically kind of the overall impact with respect to the market, financing, city, and so forth, okay? Next building, the homeless shelter, what you can do with that one. The Victorian Row, what you can,
Was it a real town?
I don't, well, it's based on, I think, something maybe in San Francisco, possibly.
I saw Phoenix.
And once again, I think they cobble together bits and pieces. But anyway, okay, then they get into new buildings as to what you can do, and then how they should be represented, and specifically how many square feet would be contained within each of these blocks, you know, how many jobs are created, you know, so they give you an immense amount of details here, okay, for literally every particular type. Office buildings, low-rise, mid-rise, neighborhood retail, supermarket, the Q-Mart, obviously the equivalent of the Walmart, homeless shelter, townhomes, podium apartments, luxury condos, okay? So those are basically your inventory of potential uses, okay, that you then can begin to sort of play with, but each one of those has constraints, okay, as to what you can and cannot do. It already showed you the sort of the color scheme here, and then they give you some, once again, more details as kind of in a nice little summary of kind of what each of these sort of would look like. Okay, do all of that. And then open space amenities, kind of obviously little flat green things, ultimately what you can sort of envision for those. Okay, and then on and on and on. So here's what you're going to have to do. Okay, now you can get back to your seat. All right. So you have a fair amount of reading out of, this is the only textbook you're going to have for this class, okay? The only area to read is the urban plan, which is on Dropbox, okay? Everybody with me on that? Yes or no? Now, what you're going to be expected to do between now and the next time that we meet, which is obviously 2 weeks from now, you're going to have to read that entire manual from cover to cover, okay? It's 80-something pages, obviously there are a fair amount of pictures and, descriptions and things like that, but you need to familiarize yourself with the issues, the constraints, the opportunities, what the buildings are, what you can do, what you can't do, and then use that to then come in to the next class session and make a much more informed decision as to how you go about allocating the uses on the parcels. Okay, and then that's where you're going to be taking on more of your respective roles as actors of effectively saying, okay, I can't remember who was which, but okay, what's your role? You're the city? Okay, you're the city. Ultimately, what is it that you're trying to achieve, for this area in terms of generating more tax revenue for the local government? And you're the
planner, maybe?
Okay, you're the site planner, so to a certain extent it's what are you achieving in terms of the landscaping, what are you achieving in terms of maybe the mix of uses, in terms of the aesthetic qualities, those sorts of things. That's the angle you're coming at. You're the marketing person, so you're going to be looking at what is really being demanded here, what are the rental rates that each of these uses would be achieving, and then ultimately, what is that going to mean for the financial feasibility, which I'm assuming is either you or somebody else.
Mancini.
Okay, Mancini's going to deal with the financials, so you're the neighborhood guy. You're the guy who's going to oppose everything.
That's right.
Okay?
There's no way this is getting done.
So basically, the neighborhood guy is going to be in opposition to almost everything in the sense of there's going to be all sorts of constraints and issues.
Isn't the neighborhood guy the liaison?
He's a liaison, but it's like he's the one that should be taking on that role of the perspective of all of the community activists.
Okay.
Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? So that everybody has that role to play, and so the point is, what you're given all these constraints, you're given all these opportunities. You're given effectively the different roles each person plays. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want, as the neighborhood guy, to just acquiesce and sort of say, build whatever you want to build. That's not fulfilling your role as the neighborhood activist. You follow me?
Got a skateboard somewhere.
So the point being is there has to be potentially, in the perfect way that this scenario is supposed to play out, is that you guys negotiate. You guys sort of figure out what works the best, a little bit of give and take, talk a little bit about that, but also whenever the financing piece is done, see what the implications are. Is this thing going to be profitable as you've laid it out, or is it basically one big just disaster because the neighborhood guy got his way on everything? Okay? Does that make sense? Yes?
Can on the finance side, can we push for more? Like, hey, I need you guys to lower this so that we can make the better.
You do whatever you think that is realistic to do. Here's what's going to happen. In the perfect situation, I'm purposely putting the final presentation for this later than the day off. So this will be like the last day of class, which is like I think June the 20th. Okay? And then that day is whenever you will make your final presentation. My anticipation is I'm going to try to bring in some outside judges, okay, to actually judge you on what you have done so that they can be impartial and effectively whenever you present what you have done, they effectively can pepper you with questions and you know, say, well, why did you keep the homeless shelter? Or why didn't you keep the homeless shelter? You know, what were you trying to achieve? You know, those kinds of things. Does that make sense? So it should be a fun exercise, but one of the things that you also should be picking up with this is a lot of this is going to be parallel to what you're going to be doing for the NAIOP competition in terms of the skill sets that you're going to be picking up from doing this, hopefully will help embed in your mind. Like for example, if you take a look at those questions that each person is supposed to address as the site analyst or as the market analyst or as the neighborhood analyst, those are the same kind of questions that you're going to have to address in the NAIOP project. Okay, maybe a little bit different, but for the most part, you know, the same sort of thing. I would even go so far as to say, maybe you ought to think about printing out a big poster-sized version of the site for the Prakashi project, for the NAIOP project, and use the Legos. You know, to a certain extent of you know, going through that same sort of process of, you know, how might we want to, you know, sort of lay this out and potentially design it. Does that make sense? Now, another thing that you might even, you know, think about, you know, depending on how one of the groups in Texas that we did the competition there for the NAIOP, they actually used a 3D printer and printed out several of the buildings that were going to be on the site, and you know, it was a great way to kind of represent what was there. You know, so I mean, you know, Legos are fine, but it's a question of how sophisticated do you want to get. Not saying you need to, just saying, you know, there are other options of you know, what kinds of things can you potentially do. Okay. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
I had a question about the homeless shelter, because I mean that's kind of like what's happening right here, right outside. Like any suggestions or like how do you fix that? Like right across the street, how do you fix that issue?
Every community that I have ever been a part of, it has been a problem, and you know, you ideally want them relatively close to where the services that are being provided to them, and you know, with easy access to public transportation. But unfortunately, you know, whenever that happens, there's usually then this whole issue. You created this kind of area that becomes very unattractive and unappealing for folks that are not homeless to potentially walk through or drive through or whatever. And you know, it's not a problem that's obviously unique to this area or any other city. It's just, it really is, it's a very challenging, you know, question. I don't have an answer. I mean, yeah, I've seen different cities deal with it differently. I mean, you know, some cities, they try to provide like more like housing for the homeless with services that will be, you know, effectively provided to them in terms of you know, many of them have addiction issues that have to be dealt with. They need help with, you know, job searching and effectively, you know, helping them to keep that job. You know, dealing with, you know, a whole assortment of other psychological issues. You know, so that it's not just an easy fix of saying, here's a free apartment.
No,
I understand that you know.
I'm just saying it's like, you know, if you try to relocate it anywhere that you say you're going to put a homeless shelter, everyone's going to be up in arms about it.
Yeah.
And you're just displacing the problem. It's not here now, now it's over there.
Unless you put an extra prison.
What color is prison?
Unless you put next to a prison,
Oh.
you know, then you're probably not going to have as much resistance. But no, seriously, it's a real challenge.
And I know in Miami, you know, the bulk of the homeless people, they're going to be homeless forever.
Right.
Not a choice, but because they have the psychological.
Right. No, it truly is a challenge for every single city, and like I said, every city sort of deals with it a little bit differently. Most of them try to kind of force them all into one, you know, area and just kind of, you know, shrug their shoulders and sort of say that's the area that they're all going to sort of stay in and just deal with it, for better or for worse. There's no question it has a negative impact on property values. None. I mean, in terms of no gap. Okay? Other questions, thoughts? Okay? All right, so what I want you to do now is, you've got your pictures, hopefully, of your site. So you've got a pretty good idea of what you've got where, and then kind of, now everybody sort of go to their respective computers and log into the Dropbox, log into the financial model, all right, and take a look at it, start kind of playing around with the numbers in there. Start, what I would do if I were you, is I would start with one of the blocks, like block 1, and then specifically inventory. What do I have in block 1? And pop that up on the model. Does that make sense? Okay. It's urban plan. UB, and it's the you may have to order them the most recent or whatever.
I don't know if they're right.
Yeah, I turned them off. That's where
Oh, I wasn't sure.
Tyler saw it.
Do you want to pull it up and I'll tell you what we got, or?
Oh, you gonna do it?
I can just sit here and look at it.
I mean, y'all can work on it as a group. That's fine. I mean, I want you to play around with the financial model a little bit.
The, can you find out like what, does it tell you there, or like what each block represents?
Yeah, it does.
And I've given each of your team leaders a full copy of the document, so that they can effectively, if you want to, you can reference that instead of having to look at it online.
I mean, that's the way that I like action.
So, block 1 is where residential.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was just a concept I was
10,000 square feet. One block is
Get
I
10.
think it's just we are wanting to make sure.
Are those podium apartments, townhouses, high-rise condos, or homeless shelters? So those will be podium apartments, student housing, that kind of thing. That's what I was thinking.
It's like they are on top of a podium.
Yes.
So they,
Hey, what we doing this? This is our civic center, it's not gonna be your calculation.
Well, no, you're just going to have to totally break it up, segment it between the different uses. Since you're sort of saying it's a little bit of everything.
No, it's like,
Just
We
10,000.
only give you some, these are the options. So it's gonna
we
fit.
can be creative then.
Well, beyond these options, no.
Okay.
I would say it's probably going to be the closest to like retail and office.
Right. So if one story is 10,000 square feet, how many stories do we have?
retail.
Of retail? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
You call this neighborhood retail, not grocery, drug, or Q-Mart.
Yeah, but that gets.
We're just classifying this as an entire block, or you want to split it up?
Yeah. That's all right, we'll know.
Half and half neighborhood retail, half grocery, drugs, whatever.
Yeah, man.
We got our market up.
Is that too soon at the hard side now, or?
Yeah, I think both of those are the same. They're calculated. It says grocery drug, one story, it's 40,000 square feet. Neighborhood retail, one story is 10,000 square feet. It also says 5,000 square foot increments.
When they say podium, parking, I mean, just, when they say podium apartments, is that with the assumption that the ground floor is something other than apartments?
Probably so. That's how I would do it. I mean, although they probably give you a very descriptive,
One block is 10,000 square feet, right?
That's my understanding of podium is.
let's page 39.
They're stacked, so it's not like we're taking up square feet.
Podium apartments. So podium apartments are moderate price market rate rental apartments. So 1, 2, and 3 active.
All right, so
Affordable.
same with 5 here, that's what we're saying? That's one.
No, 5 stories.
5 stories.
So look, it's actually not because it's on a podium, it's because
So you're saying 5 units?
they're calling it moderate price, market rate rental apartments, primarily 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, attractive to young professionals and investors that want to live close to
So
their
what
jobs.
we do?
They are 10,000 square foot, 20 units per building, 5 stories in height.
That's not low end.
More residential or one parking, so maybe they're calling that parking, I guess, podium.
So it's parking on top of
Parking, it doesn't say it on top of it. Okay.
So it's classified as podium.
So at least we'll see what we're doing.
Yeah, podium and, I don't know, my understanding of podium is something that's built on top of buildings, so I guess it's parking.
So some of that parking is included for square footage.
Yeah.
So retail. Are we overbuilt? Close? Yeah, that's it, we're just plugging 200 units of podium apartments.
Oh, that's only 200
So we're
units?
going to do half and half.
Yeah, 20 units per 10,000 square foot block.
So this is 10,000 square feet, one block? Or half a block?
One full block.
Stack, 2 story?
Alright, so this labels different stories.
Each podium building represents 20 units over one level of budget on a 10,000 square foot building.
So 20 units per block, which also includes specters of So we have 10 blocks,
Okay.
200 units. Alright, so what do we have next? Retail?
So we don't need the parking blocks.
I guess not. It assumes that
It's one level.
yeah.
It's 2 stories, one parking, one. Well, we don't include it in here anyways.
Right. Okay, so retail differentiates neighborhood retail from grocery and drug, and it gives the when you split the group, it actually gives the block layout for.
Yes.
I didn't realize there were so many restrictions on how we made our blocks.
So, well, they got Q-Mark big box, which is like 1 story height.
So this is different.
So,
These two are different.
You kind of got an idea of how this kind of breaks down. So if we have one yellow box,
It shows you
so we have to add addition
from your manual,
to parking on the building group.
color code one.
the manual that I gave your team leader.
So for every block,
for
you
each
have a
use,
block parking.
It tells you specifically how many blocks, how much square footage it relates to, how many units. So everything is contained page by page.
Got it. One story, 40,000 square foot building.
So for these 3 blocks, basically,
Yeah.
we need a block and a half parking. And we have 2 blocks. Not bad. But over parking. For every 2 blocks, you need a half. You need 1 full block.
So we overparked it.
Get 2 full blocks. So this one's got a half a block. It's got 5,000 square foot extra.
Alright, so what's the,
And this one has way too much parking. Alright, it's half a block.
so
So this one we
retail,
actually don't need any parking on this because it's included in the residential. And this 1 block of retail, we'll take off this half a block that we leave over here.
yeah, okay.
So
you
now
want
if
to
we
go
convert
on
these
this
to
line?
yellow, are we overbuilt?
Exactly, so call that a yellow.
We did 2 more yellows,
2 more yellows?
2 more blocks, full blocks.
Okay, so 240 units.
Can we change this stuff now, or we're just kind of like playing around with it?
No, you can change it.
Okay. So you want to take out the parking on this?
I mean, how you approach it from this point is up to you.
Kind of an
Okay,
understanding.
so the spreadsheet assumes that each one of these blocks is 5 stories. A podium apartment is 5 stories, 20 units on a 10,000 square foot. Right, so we don't need to stack 2 of these together because just one of them is already 5 square foot. So basically we have to re-block design our.
But we can't put 2 on top of each other?
No, you don't need.
Then it would be a 10-story building.
Yeah.
Again, but that wasn't really our intent.
Look at the condo tower.
Yeah, it'd be a condo tower.
Well, it's on top of the
We
10
can
stories.
do we can call it condo tower, high-rise condo.
These ones are
That'll be office, though, right? Mid-rise office, 8 stories.
This is here, this here.
But man, you take off these 2, you're going to cut your units way back. Yeah, we haven't even overbuilt the lot.
Yeah, have we? We are at capacity with just that, just this much.
This here, we're at capacity? Okay, so we can start peeling back some of these. We were at capacity with adding those 2 blocks.
Those 2 blocks
Put us at
put
capacity.
us at capacity.
Can remove some and change up the use, like a little more retail over here, which require a little more parking. Because I think we're getting into the height here. I don't know what's the height on the retail.
1 story, they're all 1 story.
So it's 1 story, so this is 11 stories. Is 11 stories considered high rise?
Yes. Okay, so this particular spreadsheet does not give us the capability to put apartment on top of retail.
No, but I think you can just use those as some. It's kind of like this block has everything included, parking and housing. So we don't need a color coordinated. Yeah.
But they're over here.
We got a lot of green space here too. Right. This is just a bad idea next to the Photoshop now. Let's get rid of it though. We gotta see what the things are. We saw something in there about the homeless shelter.
Yeah, see what we can do.
Where did you see that?
I don't know, I guess. I think it's more towards the back.
Maybe we can do this with the
Because
spreadsheet.
you almost gotta like corner, if you're gonna keep it, you gotta like
Corner,
corner.
there's parking completely surrounding the whole shelter. Parking on all sides, this was parking.
I'm sorry.
No restrictable weapons.
No, those people are, I don't think they're,
They use your car for fast, they don't rob.
I don't think there is,
It says, it just says, when you put in.
I mean, I'm sure homeless areas have a higher level of crime than other areas, but I don't think homeless
By the Miami Stadium. Miami Arena.
What, the morning scene?
No, arena, basketball, arena. Look around, get there, exactly. Right there, so what? I prefer the greenery one there, these people are still disturbing. They'll go there at night. A security, park rangers.
Yeah, send them around.
Yeah, they just.
and they put students in here.
No sleeping on the bench.
Exactly.
Young college girls with their parents over in one state.
That is a good point.
Office. Don't mind working. I think it's the best use of it. We have to keep it. We have to surround us by office. And
Yeah, I think so. So let's
but this block may not.
Okay, I see. So if we have two of these blocks next to each other, you can consider that a high-rise condo, 48 units in this.
Well, you get a bonus of 8 units.
Yeah.
These are available. I gotta look at all of this at 4 p.m. It's gonna be quite 9 a.m. Yeah,
Yeah, not just me.
Yeah, we look at all of this. That's what I'm saying.
You captain.
So, oh my God, so 9 a.m. we'll have to make it easy. So 9 a.m. we go in.
9 a.m.
This person.
Can you do that residential, like here for the home?
No, this is the residential.
They have to leave at, they come in at like 4 and they leave at 9 here. The first level includes constable cleaning.
Can you do something else for the home?
This person.
Put them all on the bus and ship them to Key West.
This is very serious.
Once you get rid of that,
The height of that whole building is 3 stories. So this first floor is
I think the only show would be best suited by YMCA.
Are you serious?
It's there now.
I think we're relocated by the YMCA.
So the prisons over
Best laid
here.
plans.
So they get out of prison, they go to the YMCA. That YMCA kicks them out after so much time, and then they
Become homeless, and then they go back to the prison. We'll put like a revolving door over here. It's probably too much effort just to move it walk over.
Sounds like a lot of cost for absolutely no upside.
Probably easier to do the YMCA over here
Yeah.
than it is with. And
this anyway, based on whether we consider this a high rise or a apartment.
So you're trying to pull the attention to this from here.
What is this, does zoning allow for high rise? Do we know that, or are we just doing it financially?
This is purely just financial. It's calculating how much parking is required and telling us on a floor plate square foot basis if we're built. But this doesn't let us put residential on top of retail, so you gotta get it in a trick to spreadsheet.
But that's just on strictly financial design, leave zoning.
You're right, you're right.
So we gotta probably start off first with the zoning allowances for each lot before we try to figure out what'll financially work there.
This was wide open big rise, and then this one's higher, right?
But at least we got a good understanding of the blocks over time.
This one's a mid rise. This one's a mid rise, and then this one is.
So do they have the zoning stuff here?
Development standards, design guidelines.
Well, the way it's actually designed is that
Track. Yes, we have a black one.
the way it's actually
Hold on, here.
Got an extra Red Bull?
Sure.
so
Trash them. Okay. I thought it was like half your can.
It's all like sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
green space you have.
Spitball. City of Yorktown Development Standards and Design Guidelines.
So preserving council architectural code rules, building height, 10-story design height, provide harmonious transition between structures including building mass footprint and height, maximize usable space in relation to each dwelling, as well as the entire project. Maximize views from all areas of the dwelling, as well as maintain privacy. Height limits. Permitted height limit site is 10 stories. However, any proposed new building should conform to the character of the buildings in the area. Parking structures can't exceed 5. I think we got that anyway.
Lot 2. That's it. That's it. Right.
So it's just their development strategies. Yeah, I think this is a lot less dense than what we originally thought.
I think we need to plug in everything, but I think we should redesign. Yeah, we kind of have to redesign. Well, maybe we don't have to redesign as long as, trick the spreadsheet. Just because it's
guidelines.
if I know we're not overbuilding because we're stacking two things on top of each other, the spreadsheet doesn't work.
It says here that so we can get rid of the home shelter. It says that if we get rid of it, we have to pay $1 million to the city's home shelter.
I saw that, but why would you want to get rid of the shelter?
Because we can make more than $1 million
Yeah.
by putting $1 million in there.
They get rid
That's
of
what
it.
I'm like there.
Let the city, they're going to cut an extra $1 million to deal with that. the finances.
What?
They couldn't take that because someplace else.
That's fine as long as it's not on our block.
It's not our development.
Yeah.
It's not my backyard.
See, it look like that.
No, they're
Well, it
just
looks like
saying
it's
without
right
a
now.
lot of,
Retail side.
they said right here. If you want to get rid of it, you must pay $1 million to the homeless shelter fund.
Well, but also, if you read later on, this
Parking is unlimited for the homeless.
the church hates that building.
What?
When he was flipping through, I saw the note from the church that the
No.
church is yelling at the city because this thing is in total disrepair. It doesn't, it's not up to code. So it needs to be,
Well, if you build a new one,
yeah.
here they'll give a fee to the developer.
They'll give that 1 million to the developer?
No, they don't say how much, they just say,
Percentage.
the developer may build a shelter on any block in a redevelopment site. The developer does not provide a free shelter for the redevelopment site by renovating the Phoenix Hotel or by constructing a new building elsewhere. You must pay $9. Like Grace Memorial Church will pay for the construction of the building, the city will pay a fee to the developer for the construction if the developer donates money.
Okay, so if we use some of our other land, then we get it paid
It's
for.
not
As
ethically
opposed to-
moral.
So I guess the assumption is that-
Shelter, I'm not for that.
As opposed to renovating where it is, it makes more financial sense to relocate it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
And we can either relocate it here or just pay $30 into the fund.
What would you do?
Not deal with it.
I'd be tempted to relocate.
On this map,
Well,
either way, you gotta get rid of it, I think. It's gonna cost so much money to renovate it. I think it's like right on
so
our,
we gotta get rid of it. And we can if we relocate it, it says our construction costs are taken care of and they're gonna pay the developer. So let's say it sounds like zero cost.
we gotta donate it.
Oh yeah.
This is what they do in the office all day when they're negotiating.
It says potential profit margin to
You're beginning
developer.
to see the complexity of something that seems very simple at first.
You know, but the good thing is, it's goodwill that you would get with the city, as opposed to like taking it off the map.
Yeah.
That if you just said,
It's cheaper commerce. They would get people.
no, they get, go with the elected officials and everybody, maybe they can increase the density here. But I don't know if we can, like,
Get some zoning bumps.
I don't know if we can.
Make part of the rules.
Yeah, I will relocate.
So the homeless shelter's 4 blocks.
Four of those?
And now.
Or like a cube or?
They show like a cube.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So,
And look at that.
that's what it said here, unlimited. We could do it next to the YMCA over here.
Well, they can go get swole, and 4 o'clock they go back in. Because
Yeah, but it's like community.
no,
Really?
YMCA's are like halfway houses for people getting out of prison. That's what it used to be. And now they're just
Oh no, I'm thinking.
just kind of
No, they're gym.
The gym.
kind of like they're gyms and they have like
They're family community center, basically.
It's a community center.
Yeah.
Exactly. Students when they're done with school.
Yeah.
So why would you want to do that?
I don't know, where I'm from, the Y is typically the bad part of town.
Yeah. No, they are. Now, they're not, they're quote not for profit. So, we do put it in your ready to give to the,
Well, where else is that? Not
if
by
you
the
look at,
university.
don't want to put by the,
I would put it here by the museum.
it's all these multi-family.
How bad. This is kind of the only place that it's like out of the way
Church,
enough.
church, but still got all that multi-family out around there.
What was in this corner over here?
We should read about the Victorians, this thing.
Yeah, this we can rehab. This would a cool thing to turn into either
Lofts or something?
yeah, that's what I was thinking. We have lots. Just see what it says about Victoria.
Yes.
No, yes.
I think we're all in agreement to do away with it. Do away with it, yeah. So the York building, this one here, right? Yeah, York. This was built in 1911. It's a York Drive goods store. Defined a prime shopping area that owned for more than 40 years. Shot by famous architect.
This one is about the unit.
It was placed on the National Register of Historic Places of the Chicago. Not be demolished. But it's been annexed since 1980. Retail by Italian.
Retail or community center?
Big lobby.
So city council members that are from start from the beginning.
Well, and that's what you're going to be doing.
Is that a freaking time?
Part of the idea behind having you sort of do this a little more chaotically initially is to just sort of see how chaotic it really is.
So is this quote, this is Victoria Road here.
Let's see what
Let me read you about Victoria Road. Okay. Although known as Victorian Road, none of the four buildings which face 9th Avenue date from the Victorian period. Built between 1900 and 1905, the two buildings to the south would be my side. The buildings on the south were the local branch office and corporate offices. The next building to the north is the former Josh Bell's Hall. Finally, on the corner of 9th and Adams is a former Mason Hall. Both buildings have large meeting rooms, downstairs, single room residence upstairs. Both headquarters have legal studios. These buildings have nine not-for-profit agencies occupy the ground floor offices. They city to occupy the building 10 years ago, have paid no rent since. City council concerned about liability issues in neighborhood politics, especially someone else would be none of the buildings meet fire code and have recently been found to have asbestos contamination. Renovation. Although the neighborhood has protected these buildings over the years, they do not have any historical status.
Okay,
And
so
they,
let's go
the developer also has many options for renovation.
What it has,
we demolish and just really here. Oh, okay, yeah. And this chart helps too. It's here. So it gives you, tells you basically what the profit is on there, the 10-year time span, number of jobs.
so this thing kind of does some of the research for us and just gives the actual planning and stuff. Just gotta read.
Okay, all right, so kind of break up what you're doing at the moment. We're going to shift gears a little bit. Okay, everybody give me your attention. Okay, here's what we're going to do. So what I have asked you to do up to this point is to just play around. I wasn't expecting you to complete the financial model. That was not the objective, okay? The objective was for you to simply tinker with it a little bit to sort of see, you know, what kind of inputs that you need to put. Begin to kind of search through the manual a little bit, look for, you know, the size of the individual blocks, what that means, what that translates into, those sorts of things. It's all that was meant to do. You can effectively now, if you choose to, wipe your slate clean, okay? Because now we're going to be sort of starting from scratch, doing it the way that we were really supposed to do it, in terms of kind of reading about it, understanding. I mean, the whole purpose of this kind of chaotic exercise was to sort of just give you perspective, okay, of like trying to figure things out as you're sort of going along. And the reality is, it doesn't work that way. You can try, you know, it just doesn't work real well. So we need to be informed about what it is we're doing, in the sense of, you know, knowing what our constraints are, knowing what, you know, you can or you cannot do with each of these respective blocks, what it is the different groups are trying to accomplish or to block and all that sort of thing. So what I have given you is another handout that is entitled Guided Reading. And here is an opportunity for you to go through and answer these questions using the printed material and that material that is all online, so you can use that. What I would like for you to do with our remaining time, I'm planning to let you out of here at 5:30, okay? But this last hour, I want you to work as a group to find all of the answers to this guided reading assignment, okay? So it's an opportunity for you to begin to kind of look through the manual and find out this information. Now, what you're going to have to do, you know, you're going to be able to do that today, but between now and next time, I'll be sending out an email that will say, you need to read the entire manual from beginning to end, all 83 pages, and be familiar with it to the extent that you can answer these kinds of questions.